Hello and welcome everyone to another Northgard video on this channel. Today I have a very basic guide for you because I actually want to cover the first time you drop into Northgard. So if you are looking for a video that helps you out when you are making your first steps in Northgard and really covers the basic things you need to look out for, you clicked on the right video here. In case you don't know me, I am the Crazy Dentist. I already play Northgard for almost a year, not quite a year but almost. I already made quite some tutorials about Northgard, so if you want to learn some things about Northgard, you're definitely at the right place here, and you can just check out my channel page for more Northgard stuff. But this is really going to be a very general tutorial to help you to make your first steps in Northgard. At first it needs to be said that Northgard is a really rough ground, and every mistake you make will really punished hard even at the higher levels. So even if you are quite experienced in the game, if you do the mistakes and you just don't set up your eco right, you will have quite some problems no matter how experienced you are. So you really gotta watch out for different things that I'm gonna cover in this video here. Another thing I want to note right here, that I think that your experience in other strategy games don't count as much as in other strategy games. So I think you will actually have a little bit easier time from jumping from AoE to StackCraft as jumping into Northgard, because this game has actually quite some new mechanics you might not know out of other strategy games, but after you got familiar with them, I can guarantee you will have a quite good time in Northgard. Without any further ado, let's just jump right into the video and I will show you some game footage while I'll explain all those things. Just excuse me that I couldn't record all of this news, so you will see my face in the left corner of the screen quite a little bit, but I hope you don't mind that, and yeah, enjoy the video. When you start out with playing Northgard, you might want to choose one clan to play with. I actually played a few games with different clans and then come to the conclusion that I really want to start learning the game with the Stack clan. So it can make life a little bit harder if you then later on start playing with other clans. But I actually think that it really helps out to have understood the mechanics of one clan, so you can really transition this knowledge to other clans. Please keep in mind that this decision is not set in stone, so if you really don't like the clan you choose in the start, you can still change it, of course. So I really were happy with my decision all throughout I learned the game. But there can definitely be people that if you want to start with the Boar clan maybe, or with the Raven clan, and you just don't feel their gameplay, maybe just try to play with another clan even though you want to start with one clan, because if you don't enjoy it, it can be the wrong clan for you, definitely. This tip might seem very obvious for you, but I definitely met players that didn't thought about this, that you really want to start on the easiest difficulty level of the environment of Northgard and then increase the difficulty by your experience. So I definitely started with playing easy games, starting to learn how I set up my economy, how I can survive in winter on easy games, and then started to play medium. And after I really felt good in medium, then I started to play hard difficulty. So I wouldn't make too big jumps in there or just start to learn the game on hard difficulty, because it can lead into a lot of frustration, and I can guarantee you that you will have a lot more fun with the game if you start on easy and really build up your skills until you go up to another difficulty level. You gotta keep in mind, if you change the difficulty of the environment, not only the wolf attacks and the sheer amount of neutral factions on the map will rise, you will also have a higher food consumption of your own villagers that will in general slow down your eco game. So keep in mind that if you go up to a higher difficulty level, you will usually have to set a few villagers more to your food job. So when you keep that in mind, you shouldn't actually have too much problems from your transition from one difficulty level to the other. The next tip will actually be the first very important eco rule I learned myself for Northgard, and I think most players actually learned it. And it is that food is debuffed in winter. So most of your food jobs will actually gather less food in the winter months than they do in the summer months, excluding the fishers because they will actually have the same rate all year. But all other food jobs will actually be debuffed. So if you think longer about it, you don't want, of course, to let your villagers gather food if it's debuffed in the winter months, since they will be just less effective in these jobs like they would be in other jobs, because your woodcutters will not be debuffed. You will have a quite higher firewood consumption in the winter, but it doesn't change the rate your woodcutters will cut the wood, so there's no actual debuff going on. So you can get a lot of woodcutters, for example, in the winter, or lore masters, or whatever you will need in this right moment. But I wouldn't recommend to have a lot of villagers gathering food in the winter months if you don't have fishers, and rather get a good food stock before the winter actually starts. So get a few more villagers all over the summer and spring and fall months and let them gather food and then you go into your winter with a nice food stock. I would recommend to have in the first winter, I would say around 100 to 150 food, and that should most likely be enough to get you through the winter months is that if there is no blizzard going on or you're playing on high difficulty, and you will definitely need a little bit more food there than in the other difficulties. Scouting in Northgard is a really crucial thing. Even though you cannot scout out your enemies without an upgraded scouting hut, you can still scout out tiles they didn't colonize until the time your scouts arrived, and so you can get really good info about where is the iron for your enemy. Maybe your enemy spawned with a bad stone that you can pressure, or other things that can be really good to know. So scouting can really give you game-changing infos, and it should always be an option to go for early scouting, even though you weaken your economy a little bit with it. But in easy and medium difficulty, I don't think it should be all too much of a problem to have a scout out all the time, to really have a good knowledge of the map. And also in the start of the game, the scouting info can be really crucial, because if you get your warriors out before you even found your stones or your irons, you can't really know how much you will need to clear out all those tiles and what tiles you need to focus on. So please don't forget about the scouting, even though we all know it feels always quite good if you don't have a scout out and your eco just runs a little bit better because of the 1 or 2 villagers that are just working more for you. This is something I really saw a lot of newer players doing wrong, because they usually set up their eco to a quite healthy level before they start to take their stone and starting to get their upgrades. You gotta keep in mind that every upgrade for a building is really expensive, but the earlier you get it, the earlier you will get the benefits from it. So I would always recommend to go for your stone in the first winter, or even a little bit earlier if you can manage that. But you of course always gotta keep in mind that you still will need the wood and the gold for the upgrade, so you can't fall behind too much in those resources too. This is definitely something I needed some time to understand too, because lore is way more important than you would think in the start of the game. You can already look at the lore tree and you will guess that these buffs are not only good, they are actually quite crucial, because without the lore upgrades your clan is more or less a default clan without any real special things mostly, but your clan really feels more and more like your special clan when you get your lore upgrades, and you really can improve your eco or army, whatever clan you really went for. You also gotta keep in mind that Yord's Blessing is really a strong blessing, and I would say that I go roughly at 90% of my games for Yord's Blessing too, because the 20 stone and 10 iron can really help you out and most likely result in a lot of building upgrades and tool upgrades for your most important jobs, or even a war chief. This point is very important, and it really needs you to understand the mechanics of Northgard to understand why this is so important. Your armies are there to fight and not to stand around, because every soldier you have will not be just a soldier like you have them in other games. You gotta keep in mind Northgard is built around a consumption system, so every warrior you will have out will eat just as much as a villager you have working in your base. Usually what you wanna do is to have all your villagers working, really stockpile a lot of gold and build warband buildings to then get a lot of warriors and really get your enemy down in one push. So you don't have your army standing around in your base for all the time and all those villagers are not working, are basically just warriors are standing around and effectively are doing nothing for you beside of maybe threatening your enemy a little bit. But if he sees that you have a permanent army for all the time, most enemies will actually not be really threatened. They will know that your eco is not running as good because those warriors are just not working a job. Beside the first point, you gotta keep in mind that gold equals armies, so you really want to have a lot of gold in the stockpile and a lot of warband if you want to fight soon, or you get the feeling that you will be rushed in the next time. If you have a lot of gold and warband, you will have no problems to get a big army out, if you have a food stock of course too, so they don't start starving in the next seconds. But this is usually not too much of an issue if you are in the defending position, because you usually can pull your villagers back after the attack and just get out of the starvation. So you gotta keep in mind that you cannot fall behind too far in your gold production. Because if your enemy highly outproduces you in his gold production and he finds out about that, he will start attacking you in the next moment he will have the ability to it. I want to end the video here with a little conclusion. I really think once you get the hang of your clan's economy, you can really get good with that clan in a short amount of time. Because usually you will just need to understand what your clan is good with and what you can go for. Because if you play the wolf clan, you of course don't need that good of an economy, because you can just get your food and gold otherwise. And if you play as goat clan, you don't even need to think about your food economy at all. So really try to understand what your clan is good in and try to excel at that things. And keep in mind that clans aren't definitely the same, but they will get easier to learn clan by clan. Because of course your general Northgard knowledge will go up and you will know more and more what different things are really important, and you will look out for ways that clan can actually achieve those goals you want to go. But always keep in mind that if you are not happy with your first clan choice, just change it up and try out another one, because it may just not be the clan for you and there's another clan waiting for you. And I want to say that if you are a new player, it really won't help you if you leave multiplayer games early or just give up because the environment attacks are just a little bit too hard for you, because you always gotta keep in mind that your enemies get attacked by the environment too. And like in every other game, losing is in the end learning, because you can see what the other player did, what were his strategical approach, because after you got wolf rushed like 5 times, you basically know how a wolf rush worked, because it happened to you so many times. So you gotta keep that in mind and don't get too mad about losing and just see it as a learning experience. You will get really good in this game faster as you would think if you just keep doing that, and I definitely get wrecked in my early days quite a bit and I still get it, but it is no reason and were no reason for me to ever just give up and let the players alone, because this is not really enjoyable for no one and you will definitely not learn as much from it like if you would just stay in those games and see what the players are actually trying. This were my little try to give you the best start possible into your time of Northgard. I really hope you enjoyed this video and you may take something out of it. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button on this video, and if you think I missed something really crucial that you will need to know if you start to play Northgard, please drop it down in the comments, because I think the newer players would really like to know those things too. With that, I want to wish you a really nice day and see you back in the next video. Bye bye!